Let me take you to the markets now. The JSE gaining the most in 10 days on Friday, rallying along with its global peers as a softer US jobs report revived investor hopes of interest rate cuts by the Federal Reserve. So let's talk to Simon Brown, the founder of JustOneLap, to talk about how the local index is faring so far today. Simon, good morning. Happy Monday, as always. What's driving markets in early trade?
Morning, Mum. What we're seeing is a rand that is moving stronger. You mentioned the jobs data as well that came out. And I think we've now had 6 green days on the JSE. Today will make 7. We are green so far, although only just. The market up 0.1% overall. That's the industrials and financials, both 0.5% higher, while resources are trading 0.5% lower. That, as I said, is currency. Rand is 18.35 against the US dollar, 22.98 against sterling, and 19.78 against the euro. On the commodity front, we've got gold a little higher since Friday, $2,356 an ounce. We've got Brent a little lower at 82.81, and the PGMs looking decent this Monday. Platinum above 1,000 at $1,006 an ounce, and palladium $985 an ounce.
I want to go to Total Energies next, and they've got a fight on their hands, don't they, Simon? They're fighting this bid by environmental groups to set aside the government's decision to give them the right to drill in parts of South Africa for gas and oil. Talk us through the merits of this dispute.
Yeah, so this is from Cape Town up to Cape Agulhas. And of course, if we look into Namibia off their coast, they're finding a lot of oil, a lot of gas off the Namibian coast. And geography doesn't particularly mind the borders. They're sort of created artificially. So the sense is there's probably a fair bit of oil and gas off that west coast. The minister had given the go-ahead, but now, as you said, the green environmental groups are saying, hang on a second, there's implications here, not just from an environmental perspective, but the lead time in these sort of projects is measured in decades. Easy, 20, 30 years before we start getting oil or gas onshore. The question is then, what's that demand going to be? If it goes ahead, of course, then we find oil. There's the initial business activity as the exploration is happening, as the build-up has been done. But then once we're producing, it helps us because we import literally 100% of the oil into South Africa. It would certainly help us from a currency perspective, from a foreign exchange perspective, perhaps most importantly, jobs.
Vodacom next, they've reported a 10.8% decline in headline earnings. And what's your assessment of their numbers?
Yeah, so the revenue was higher, although some of that is, for example, Egypt is now completely in the numbers. They've just surpassed 200 million subscribers in their 30th year. Some of the other areas, Ethiopia is a new startup, that's costing money. But what they're struggling with is what we're all struggling with out there. Higher interest rates is hurting their debt burden and consumers under pressure. We're being more careful where we spend. And data and cell phone mobile usage is a bit of a discretionary spend. Yes, at the base, we need to be able to communicate with our families, our children, parents, friends, but we can also make smarter decisions around that. And they're finding that tough conditions certainly denting profits, even as revenue rises, as I said, from the introduction of Egypt.
We Buy Cars has interim results out now. How have they fared since being separately listed on the JSE?
A good set of numbers. As you said, a maiden set from them. It's for the 6-month period. They are seeing vehicle sales increase, although they note that this is more around gaining market share. This is not a buoyant consumer market. This is market share gains. They now done 14,000 sales in 2 of the last 3 months. And broadly, a good set of numbers. It was well telegraphed ahead when it was unbundled from the transaction capital just over a month ago. This is broadly what the market was looking for. But now we've got that first set of results as a separate listed entity. Analysts can really dig in. It's giving us a sense that it's probably on a PE ratio of under 10, which is, I think, potentially offering value here, although there's a lot of value on our market at the same time.
Simon Brown, thanks as always for talking to us and just sharing your analysis and thoughts of some of the big market moves this week. Appreciate you, and we'll talk to you again in future.